I'm joined by Dr. Raghavan Seetharaman, the former CEO of Doha Bank, but he's so much more. And I think he is the Pravasi Bharatiya awardee. He's been recognized for his service to Bharat across beyond our boundaries. But now he's back in Bharat and also trying to help Bharat grow and perhaps somewhere achieve this entire vision of a Viksit Bharat by 2047. How can we do that, especially in the changing face, the environment around us? And also, we also have some ghosts of the past that continue to haunt us. So the colonial times, the colonial plunder has also left the global south, if they were to say, and including Bharat, and the Oxfam report talks about it, impoverished. And we have to play catch up with those nations which took from us, went ahead, and today are telling us again to take 10 steps while they took one. Where they took one. So there are many aspects to speak about, Dr. Seetharaman, but first let's talk from pre-COVID and post-COVID, or let's say post-2022 itself. The world seems to be taking different shape. So your thoughts there first up.
Thank you, Anand, for the invitation. It's a changing face of the world, changing face of the globalization, deregulation, technology, and consumerism is redefining the space. No more is globalization. We have seen the defining moment when Trump is announcing extraordinary landmark policies. The global governance itself is going through extraordinary set of changes and challenges, perhaps. In the midst, as we rightly introduced, India is a shining star. The Viksit Bharat is achievable, and we have shown the trend. The last 10 years have been an extraordinary story. The brand equity when I left the country 43 years before is different from today. I'm a proud Indian. India is transcending borders. Indian heritage, Indian culture, civilization we are proud of now. Indian music, Indian dance, Indian cinema, Indian food. Indianness as a whole, India is globalizing it. And people have accepted the Indian culture world over. And they want to replicate the model, which is truly futuristic and purposeful. And that's what they feel every Indian should be proud of. Within India, outside India, there are 35 million Indians around the world. I am one of them, persons of Indian origin, non-resident Indians. I'm so proud. I've been watching India for over 40 years from outside. Now I'm so proud. I'm a proud Indian because India is marching ahead. Viksit Bharat is achievable. We are going to be the third largest economy in the world by 2027. We will surpass Germany as well as Japan. Come 2030, we will have a $6 trillion econometrics in the offing. No question of this. It is irreversible. Nobody can stop it. Our demographic dynamics, our policy framework, which we have designed to align with the global framework, is something which is a telling story, and we have to believe it. Unfortunately, Indian politics is in disarray, except the leadership is decisive, transformative, and it is purposeful.
Politics, policy, how much of an impact does that have, especially when you worked with the Doha Bank in the past? So Qatar is an emirate, so it's got a singular rule. So the governance model is very different. So is decision making faster? Do they move to changing times faster? And how can Bharat be as nimble as some of the other nations?
Well, India has been in the forefront of a governing story. Let's take from a financial service perspective. So if you look at 1997, the currency crisis, Malaysian ringgit started. George Soros was the tipping point for the game. Essentially, we withdrew. Post atomic bomb in 2001, we withdrew. Our financial stability is second to none in 2008. Our economic momentum, acceleration has been a role model. So market liberalization is a slow pitch. And let us understand the magnitude of the country. Sheer diversity, oneness, and the scale is something we have to recognize. It's a functional democracy. We have our own bureaucracy. We have to accept no country is comparable. Even the United States is going through extraordinary bickering in terms of political alignment. We have seen the reflection world over. Politics and economics is not converging. Communism has changed. Capitalism is altercating its form and substance. Mixed economy, as India has been in the forefront. And the Gulf states, since you mentioned about Qatar and the rest of the Gulf states, where 45% of the world oil, 20-25% of the world gas comes from, has been a transformation since 1970s. So I've been a part of it since early 80s. So I'm telling you with all confidence, that India is the country, everyone likes it. Indian, wherever they're gone, whichever be the profession they are engaged in, they want Indians, the hard work, the commitment, the honesty, integrity Indians have shown. India is a country, peace-loving. Indians have shown remarkable, affinity to the country where they're engaged in. I was surprised when I was asked to run a bank in two countries, one in Oman, when I was young at 34, to run a public enterprise. We don't give a German or American a bank, State Bank, for example, or any other bank. So Qatari public has trusted in me, and I worked for 18 years as CEO. It was a joy for me. In terms of governance, they replicate the global model. In terms of the framework, it is a monarchy. Again, in candid terms, the decision making is relatively simple. Enforcement is possible, and the size and scale is also different. We have to understand this. Otherwise, economic transformation, political transformation, and the overall human development and the environment development has been in the forefront for the Gulf states.
Because there is this entire conflict that for development and for a nation to develop, there is this tussle between authoritarian regimes and democracy. So there is this big tussle, and people say, and then the other aspect is that there are other nations who are cash rich, but people deficient. We, on the other hand, are people rich, but cash deficient. The exception being China, which is people rich and also cash rich, but there is an authoritative model. So now, how does the play of economics work? Or from your point of view, you think, like, since you said Bharat is a mixed economy, we need to develop our own economic models, not look at other nations, but perhaps look within ourselves to develop our own economic model.
Absolutely right. See, the governing principle is embrace the changing face of the world, and we align ourselves. That's the beauty of India and Indians around the world. We lived in a society which is poor or rich, weak or strong. We have seen poverty or prosperity. Our consciousness is quite different. Our DNA is quite different. So we cannot compare China and India, or for the matter, America. So as a functional democracy, we have our own challenges, and we have a political stability, financial stability, and we have shown time and again we are good people. We have character and commitment, and that's what we demonstrate in terms of global governance. We are the first one to set in the right kind of our history apart. Our heritage. We are the prime mover in every field. Our discovery and inventions are second to none. No question about it. Whether education or healthcare or science, or now in today's context, if we look at it as a functional democracy, we are doing well. We will continue to do well, and we will stand with this sustainable value creation. And this century belongs to India. I firmly believe. When people compare China, as you rightly said, it's a Politburo. A few policymakers are deciding the whole game. Whereas we have oneness, and we allow the opposition to have their own say, and we hold together the policy framework, and we deliberate and take a decision which is responsive. So globally, we are well respected, and that's what it is. We were lying low. See, in terms of now, with the changing face of the world, everyone recognizes India is a Vishwa Guru, because this is scale, substance, not only scale, substance again. And the political ideology is working well. And this is a defining moment. From now to next 30 to 40 years, we are going to tell the story around the world. You bank with us, you rely on us, we will build a partnership which is second to none. Nobody can dictate terms to us. We are going to create a bilateral opportunity. We are going to create a win-win model. That's why I'm saying it. Now, whatever be the political outcome in the rest of the world, India is here to grow. India will grow. India will play a big role in terms of global governance.
See, the point is, what I'm trying to exact from you is, how should we grow? Yes, we are going to be growing. Now, will somebody else influence and control our growth? Or can we take control of it and decide how we want to grow? So that's where I'm wanting to ask you, in terms of economic policy, in terms of the approach that we should have as a nation, what is it that we need to do?
Well, our policy framework is second to none. In the last 10 years, as I mentioned to you, our economic progression, even the recent IMF prediction in January 2025 is very clearly telling, okay, we have slowed down a bit, 6.3 to 6.5, but that is sustainable again. 6.5 to 7% is achievable for n number of years. The economic progression, ease of doing business, again, uniting the country, GST, market liberalization, and in terms of the framework, we need to take measures which are responsive. For example, we need to have more infrastructure. We have to capitalize on the digital advantage we set in. Our inclusion, financial inclusion has worked. The role of governance in terms of women participation has to work. We have to still go a long way. We have to necessarily make sure we have to create job. We have demographic dividend. We have to invest more in infrastructure. We have to improve the investment, inflow of investments. See, the rating agencies are false. I'm sorry to say that. These are politically backed up, profit-making enterprises. So they cast wrong judgment time and again. And look at the challenges we have. We have our own challenges in terms of job creation. We have to convert the currency as a rupee. Of course, the current government has taken this a long way. The rupee is now, at least with this comprehensive economic partnership agreement, countries like UAE, Dubai, or rest of the Emirates is working well. We have to transcend the currency, and we have to. We are not manipulating currency. With the global governance I've seen right from 2008, money supply has been taken as a quantity using tool. They never reversed it, whether America or China. China is administering the currency. Whereas we are a free market dynamics. We are been intervening in the market to hold the currency now. We have to convert this as a challenge. We have to necessarily make sure convertible currency we create. We have to, incentivize, production-linked incentives are required for manufacturing and export. Our import bills are phenomenal. We have to move from the fossil fuels to energy transition and to net zero by 2070. We have bigger job. That's why it's important that we get into sustainable development, more and more healthcare and education. So our digital advantage has played a big role. We are the role model for digital literacy now, and we have to replicate this model and the potential behind this 1.4 billion people. As Keynesian economics goes, we have enough capacity to produce, and that's what we need to optimize it. Airport, seaport, road, rail. We need to scale it up the infrastructure, contain the inflation. That there is a perfect alignment between the monetary policy and fiscal policy. Nowhere in the world is happening. Mind you, we have done since COVID, as you rightly mentioned, we have aligned ourselves. We have aligned ourselves in terms of financial stability. Again, we have to work on environment. That's my major concern. It's not economics anymore, Anand. It is economics. If your predictable monsoons are not coming to terms, then, especially in a country where majority of the population is engaged in agriculture and the GDP, is a contrast. So we need to have sustainable value creation. Our domestic consumption is improving. Our rural consumption is improving. We have to export more. We have to reduce the import bill. We have to convert the currencies. We have to go for green transition and make sure we have a policy framework which is akin to sustainable development goals. Every single 17 goals we have, every policy framework should be akin to sustainable development goals.
But that's quite challenging, but especially when there is this thought process which says that since we are going to play catch up, and then we've got to beat someone who already has got a head-on lead from us over about 3 decades. So we need to work harder. We need to work longer. We need to work smarter. And we also need to manufacture more. Now, where's your thought process on this 90-hour week? I know that's a little far-fetched, but there's been a lot of talk around it. But what I've heard from people is that there are many who believe that they want Indians to work harder, smarter, but also for longer hours because to increase productivity. So I may not say 90 hours, but do you think we need to work towards at least 70-hour work weeks?
That's our culture. Wherever Indians are gone, whichever be the profession they are engaged in. I've been watching it, as I said, for very many years. Indians are known for hard work. That's in our DNA. This is a defining moment. Let's not give up our capacity to deliver goods. So it doesn't mean that you have to work for 90 hours or 100 hours or 80 hours. We have to optimize our life and work style, and we have to make sure we give the maximum. That's a differentiator. Rest of the world and Indians. Within India, if you're going to embrace the different culture, it doesn't fit in. We have to necessarily recognize our capacity to deliver as a
Hmm.
differentiator is hard work. And let's not slow down on this, especially in a defining moment like this. We have to give the maximum. I wouldn't cast judgment on a number of hours. Quality is equally important. Productivity in optimization of the existing framework is equally important. Productivity per employee, if you're running a corporate or a country, is very, very important. But it is
This
important for the
productivity dynamic, sir, differs between services and manufacturing. Now,
yeah.
services, I can work smart, I can maximize output even with a minimum number of hours. To a certain extent, the argument may fly there. But with manufacturing, if I have to increase output, I need to have labor and I need to have the labor working 2 shifts, 3 shifts, however it is, and we need to have that kind of an output. So, for in the manufacturing sector, how are we going to play catch up? Because China has a lead which is far ahead. Now, nations like Vietnam and some of the other Southeast nations, which are also providing to the world, especially in garments and some of the other, consumables, they seem to have got it right far faster than we do. What do you think we can do to perhaps not just play catch up but do better than them? Now we got neighboring Bangladesh, which is an economic doldrums, but it's an opportunity for us. But our tariff rates, our own procurement and manufacturing, make our core product itself 3 to 4% more expensive, the output 3 to 4% more expensive than the neighboring nation. Now, how do I change that dynamic? Because that does not make me competitive. That does not then further, encourage me to manufacture.
So there are many reasons why our cost is not comparable. As I mentioned to you, the rating agency is a simple example. Our borrowing cost is always high. It's completely devoid its purpose in terms of global framework. They kept it this way. In fact, I said the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in 2010 during the financial crisis, take it over from McGraw-Hill, S&P, or Moody's. United Nations should cast judgment based on impartiality. What is the right measurement for rating agency? That is not universal in framework. Now, because our borrowing cost is high, rating is still just one notch above the investment grade. Our borrowing cost is high. When your borrowing cost is high, your manufacturing cost is high. When your manufacturing cost is high, we are not competitive in terms of global framework. So that is one thing we have to fix. Now, China is an emerging market at the same time, AAA rated countries. Look at their borrowing cost. Look at the inflow of investments which they have created. So arguably, the Japan or China or the rest of the world who are engaged in industrialization in substance, they all have borrowing capacity cheaper than us in terms of financing charges. That's one aspect. Second, that's where we have to fight it out. Even the first aspect, we have to have put our own yield curve. We have to make sure we borrow cheaper, especially in a country which is, economics are given. The telling story is 7% earning capacity is there, rather growth is there. And our earning capacity is second to none. Consumerism is visible. Everyone wants this market. Better we get the right rating. If nobody is giving us the right rating on account of politics, not on account of economics, then we have to set our own, role in terms of setting the yield curve. So our own cost basis is very, very important. We have to borrow cheaper. We have to improve the investments, which we are taking enough measures now. We have seen of late enough initiatives taken by Reserve Bank of India. Plus, again, I'm sure ensuring budget is going to play a big role in terms of opening up for infrastructure investments. Now, we have to borrow cheap, number one. Number two, when it comes to manufacturing costs, labor plays a big role. And we have to use artificial intelligence and other tools, the robotic process automation. It doesn't mean it's a realignment of the overall the production capacity. We have to use technology to the maximum. And we are in a position to do it. We have a fresh perspective on everything. So we can embrace the technology, come to modernization, productivity incentives, reducing the labor cost, reducing the financing cost. We can be competitive. Our export has to move up in the value chain. That's missing. Even though we are trying to reach $1 trillion, but way above, we have to perform. And we need to work hard. Again, we need to work hard to deliver the outcome.
Well, I know the doables are quite a lot, but along with that is this challenge of meeting the SDGs. Don't you think it's a little unfair that the entire global north has looted, plundered, and also, literally rogered the environment up? And now it's telling the global south, sorry, we've already done everything, we've screwed things up, but now you cannot. You got to grow and you got to come and play catch up with us while not doing all the things that we did. So we didn't take care, we didn't care about emissions, you've got to. We didn't care about global warming, you've got to. We didn't care about developing plastics and dumping it into the oceans, and we told you to do the same, but you cannot do it now. So it's like trying to fight a battle, or run a 100-meter race with both your hands tied behind your back. So where do you get the wind from?
Well, it's an extraordinary question, I should say. Listen, this is core ideology, sustainable development goal. We all have to work together. It's one family, one earth, one planet. That's what G20 norm was, and that's a fact. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is true. We have to look at human dignity, human welfare, planet as a whole. For example, you talked about global warming, rising sea level, increasing temperature, animal extinction is not an ordinary issue. It transcends borders. It's not confined to one single territory. We have to break this territorial integrity, and we have to come as a planet as a whole. Okay, carbon emission, yes, 27% of the carbon emission from China, 15% from United States, 10% from Europe. They cannot tell that what we should do in WTO or otherwise in the COP29 or 30, we should reduce it. We cannot. We have to produce ourselves, and we have to take our market share. This is the time where we have to do it. We cannot embrace everything as is dictated by the West. So we have our own, we have to customize our way. Our carbon emission is only 7%, mind you, in global terms. So, but at the same time, we also have to understand, top polluting cities, we have 3 cosmopolitans out of 4. This is dangerous for our own living. So, see, when it comes to sustainable development, elimination of extreme poverty, gender equality, zero hunger, food security, universal education, universal healthcare, if you look at the policy framework, which we have designed in the last 10 years, it is akin. And we have committed. For example, we said in COP 2021, in 2015, we will deliver 175 gigawatt. We delivered it. Now we have 500 gigawatt as a delivery line. We are going to do it. And everyone is recognizing the current prime minister is not just a talk show. He means his business, and people are worried about his tenacity, his resilience, and his conviction and character. I'm telling you, that's the respect he commands. Gulf states or otherwise, rest of the world recognize here is a true leader who embodies what he says, and he actually walked the talk. And that is a development. India is now getting into culture. We have a policy framework. We are going to take all the 17 goals. We are not going to listen to the rest of the world. We will do it in our way, customize our solutions. We have the tools, we have the capacity, we have the hard work, we have now, the growing public as a movement is evolving. What is happening in terms of vibrancy and the energy levels, what I'm seeing in India when I travel the rest of the world is extraordinary. It's so positive, so productive, and we have to believe it. Recently we had the Pravasi Bharati Divas.
Yes, in Bhubaneswar.
What a telling story it is. So clearly we see it's a reverse engineering. Whether it's America or rest of the world, they know Indians are here to grow. India, this century belongs to India. They have to work together. And India is in a position to, drive the change, transform the world, and we will be growing along with it's a win-win model we can create. And that's what the leadership is doing, I suppose, objectively looking at it. And we should be proud. Within India, we should be proud. That's not what is happening. We underestimate ourselves. Within India, I'm seeing it when I have deliberation with few.
Now, what are your thoughts on temple economy? We got the Mahakumbh, which is getting more than 40 million people. It's a record, spirit of humanity, and that too peaceful. Stories of Ayodhya, Varanasi, Vindhyachal, Chardham, Uttarakhand, and Tirupati. If you look at across the country, there are hubs, which are dharmic hubs, which can also not just become the spiritual hubs, but they can also become economic hubs. Are you a votary of trying to push an economic model around the temple economy or the temple economic model, or let's say a dharmic capitalism model?
Absolutely well said, Anand. See, in a changing phase of the world, there is no other solution other than bringing in equity and justice in the form of Sanatan Dharma. And that's what is going to give global prosperity. Temple culture is not, we have to understand our way of living is age-old. As long as humanity existed, we have dharmic culture, Vedic culture is prevailing. We have, 27 acres land, and there is a temple. thanks to the benevolence of the ruler in UAE. See, our value system is second to none. We embraced everything. Diversity and oneness is in our bloodstream. We believe in equity, whether Nalanda or Dakshashila, education or healthcare. You look at now, yoga as a culture has been accepted in 2015, 21st June. Now, 21st December in 2024, meditation has been accepted. Integrating your heart and mind is eternal. We're looking at the complexity of the changing dynamics, especially when we are digitized so much, we lose the purpose of consciousness. And that's what meditation brings in. The Vedic culture or temple culture is not something which is outside the human dignity. It is integral part of the DNA of every human design. And that we have to believe, and humanity start believing in it. And that's going to prevail around the world. That's going to propagate the value systems to be more peaceful, more productive, more sustainable. And that is transcending borders. The culture is transcending. That's why we see around the world, Indianness is growing. Some people are jealous about it, but the purity remains. The conversion starts within yourself. Realize yourself. The philosophy is now embedded in every human, DNA. And that's what exactly, it's slowly but steadily is creeping into the rest of the world. I'm proud of it. I'm seeing it glaringly clear, sitting outside of India for the 43 years. So I'm proud. I'm proud the temple culture. We don't need to use the religion in perspective. We have to understand humanity is our religion. Human dignity is our religion. And that's what the design is all about. It should be, that's why we have millions of God. Kumbh Mela or Ram. They are all, human beings designed and delivered values which are sustainable. And if that is the purpose behind it, I think this will be integral part of the human dignity. And the culture will be integral. Indian value systems will transcend borders more and more in the coming days.
Well, my final question, Dr. Seetharaman, is very engaging, and I look forward to another conversation soon. We are having this conversation just around the time Modi 3.0 first budget is going to come through. So oftentimes this criticism comes that there's always something in it for the poor, there's always something in it for the super rich, but there's nothing in it for the middle class. While everybody says the middle class is the biggest engine, they are the core, they are at the heart of Bharat's growth story. But we are the middle class who are taxed for everything. And once they're taxed for everything, they're re-taxed for paying their taxes. So be it education, be it health, everywhere, it's the middle class that's taxed. Somewhere, what's your outlook and what do you expect in this budget?
Well, it's only fair to say middle class is included in the whole overall value frame in the last 10 years. Financial inclusion. India was showcased. I attend every year annual general meeting, International Monetary Fund or World Bank. And I've seen India is showcased how Dandan Yojana, our Prime Minister, has put in over 500 million people into the bank accounts. Look at the payment systems. It transcended. It is adding value straight through processing for social security. So I have no illusion about the basic provision, not the freebies. What is wrong is freebies. That is not motivating. That is decelerating the productivity. That's also spoiling the overall efficiency in terms of the overall value system. Now, what we need now, more and more investment in infrastructure, rationalization in terms of personal tax. Definitely, we have to rationalize even GST without having so many ambits. The more we rationalize the tax systems and more we empower the middle class, which is happening now. If you look at the basic provisions given, I think the infrastructure we need to start creating it. We create more jobs and ensuring we focus on climate risk management. And that's where the job opportunities will come. More and more job opportunities are going to come in terms of solar, wind, biofuel, biomass, and again, renewables is the focus now. That should be for the energy transition from there on net zero. So we have to focus on that. And I expect a digital acceleration again, more and more. Artificial intelligence, if America is going to invest $500 billion, as we said, as saw yesterday, we have to come to terms. Maximum in terms of technology, we have to invest. Digital literacy, we have to create, and we have to make sure the fiscal and monetary alignment comes in prudence. More and more manufacturing, value advantage. Foreign direct investment is required. We will ease the framework for business, for especially medium and small enterprises. So all this we expect. This budget is going to be a watershed budget, as I see it, because this is a turning point. If we are not getting it right now, we are going to have consequential impact in terms of our overall growth and ratings, so-called ratings, and the value systems as to improve the per capita. So middle class is well regarded now. More and more policy frameworks, which is going to come, I suppose, because this government has been purposeful in overall progression, and
Right.
it will be a chain link to achieve our end objectives, that we have to empower the middle class.
Well, Dr. Seetharaman, the budget is upon us. So soon after that, we'll catch up and say if this was a
Sure.
landmark budget. And then the other aspect in part 2 of our future next conversation will be, are freebies sustainable? And if freebies are not sustainable, what will sustain politics today? So we'll talk about that very, very soon. Lovely speaking with you, sir. Thank you so much.
Absolute delight, Anand. It's my pleasure as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.